You know, that's like a muted bomb went off underground. But you were curious if it was, like a baby nuclear bomb, or if it was an M80 from some
It's just
kid.
a baby bomb. What's up? It's your boys, Adam Stark.
And Alan Roper, and we're going to ask you, what in the SIMPLER simpler do those buttons do?
Can you break it down and just make it a little simpler for everyone?
We're going to make a lot of simplers a little simpler.
All right, good. Well, first off, we'd like to welcome you guys back, and don't forget to smash the like button and, subscribe, share, get us out there, help us teach other people like you some dopeness about some dopeness.
And with the quickness.
And the quickness. Oh, yes. And don't forget, we also have a Patreon if you want to be a part of that. We'll talk a little bit more about it at the end. But as usual, we have a pick of the week. And this one's a fun little interesting one that, as we accidentally usually do, goes with the episode. So because of copyright...
You're welcome.
Yes. Because of copyright claims on some of our older videos, not that it really matters right now because we're still new to YouTube, we're going to try some different styles of how we're actually watching and reacting to these videos just to see what works best to not get the algorithm to be mad at us. So we'll be stopping some stuff. We'll be going through it. I may even edit this out. Who knows? And we might just go with it. Just thought I'd throw that out there for now in case I wanted it later. Alan.
I don't like how the word algorithm has my name sort of
it's
in it.
your fault. Alan.
I'm pissed.
Algorithm.
I'm pissed.
So, Alan, tell us about this pick of the week. Diego.
Oh, yeah. Diego Stakos, right? Yeah, this guy, since we're talking about simpler and Ableton and essentially sampling, and, we'll get into sampling, but this guy is doing what sampling really is taking a mic around and recording sounds out in the world, in nature or whatever. You could, sampling that instead of using a sample of that or whatever. So this guy is really creative, and he goes and makes an instrumental out of sounds from a tree.
That sounds pretty dope.
Sounds dope. Sounds potentially boring, but pretty blown away by it. And it just shows how creative you can be if you just get outside the box of your own, out of your own head of how to record, how to sample, instead of just doing what you've heard or whatever. Just go and make your own sounds and figure out how to make something sound original and unique, and there will be no copyright claims on it.
Hopefully. All right, let's jump into this and check out Diego. Digging that already. He's just like doing this in his backyard, isn't he?
He is. I can't hear it.
Am I not sharing sound?
I'm pissed. Back it up.
There was no sound anyways.
Oh.
I
can't
audio
comment on
only. There we go. There we go. Dude,
so he's looping. He's going to loop that, obviously.
I want some of these microphones. These are dope.
Yeah,
like
they are. Just carry them with you. There's handheld ones too.
He's got a nice. What is that? A shot? I don't know what this one is. This one's a nice shotgun. I think that's a Shure, but I want to know what this one is. That one's really cool. It looks like a drum mic of some sort. What? He's got a stethoscope on it.
He's got a stethoscope adapter for whatever mic that is, and that is
what?
So tight and original.
What the heck? Tree heartbeat.
Sick.
It's the, what
So that creates your deep kick,
Yeah.
with that stethoscope.
He's getting that whoop, whoop, that real is he wait so is he looping, is he cutting this in with the video? I wonder, is he actually looping on the spot with it? Like, is he just I'm wondering.
You'll know when you finish through it. It's
Yeah.
like I don't think it's like he makes that loop and then I think he's sampling pieces, and you'll notice how they don't always match up, but he took all of it and created beginning, middle, and end basically.
That's wicked cool.
See how it cuts.
What is he playing?
He's got like a pick or something. He's playing on some thin piece of bark, maybe. I can't see it, but you see how like it cuts back and forth between something he already sampled. You know what I mean? So it's not built to be thinking he's making this exactly as he goes along.
Right.
But it sounds like it.
Yeah, the way they cut it together. Okay, I'm loving it already. That is really cool, and it makes me. I really want to get one of those. What are they called? NH6s or N4H or whatever they're called. Those cool field recorders, and hook it up and do something like this. That would be
Eddie
wicked
Wong
cool.
uses those. That's where I first picked up on those.
Those things are rad. I don't like that sound.
It's still interesting with a bow.
It's
and
cool.
I meant to say Andrew Wong, not Eddie Wong. That's different people.
Oh yeah.
Andrew Wong uses those. Yeah.
Andrew Wong. Oh yeah, the psh.
Uses the handhelds, and he has a whole thing about that.
Yeah, nice. Ow, that sound is giving me gross goosebumps. That one, the one he's doing right there, is not my favorite noise. Still. That's definitely a sure.
Yeah.
That
percussive track he's making off a tree.
It's so crazy how many sounds he's actually getting off of this tree. And I mean, I shouldn't be too surprised. I mean, knowing how a lot of like sound engineering and stuff can be done out of any of that, it's just still so surprising of just sounds that you wouldn't actually think of to like make out of it. Or I mean, again, using the bow on the tree, that's just some next level.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning and I wanted to play a tree with the bow. What the heck?
I don't even have a bow.
Crescendo. Okay, that was wicked cool.
All right, so you said crescendo, and I'm pissed because I was literally going to say, here comes the crescendo, and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm going to wait, and then you said, crescendo, and I was like, asshole. You're not supposed to say the things I think. You're like Google all of a sudden.
Google's in my... I am Google.
Well, if I think about like, I really want some Aquafina, but I've never bought any online, sure enough, Google search pops up, or the recommended stuff, it'll be Aquafina on sale, and you're like, for no way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, that was Diego. How do you say his last name?
I believe it's Stockos.
Stucco?
Stocko, yeah.
Stocco.
I don't have it in front of me.
That was Diego Stocco, and
super creative.
That was really creative. Definitely check that out. His channel and this video will be linked in the description. Feel free to check that out.
Hopefully not right next to a copyright claim, but you know.
Yes, exactly.
We're lifting you up, dude. We're lifting you up in your creativity. Let it slide.
Just let this one go, man. All right. So Simpler. What is Simpler? What is it? Tell us about it.
All right. Well, all I can say is that Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, first and foremost.
It's nothing to what?
So Simpler is a instrument or device in Ableton that you can use to sample with. And there's a bunch of uses for it. I have an understanding of it, but there's so much I probably don't even know. So I'm just going to run through some stuff I've been learning. I go to Berkeley, so there's, I have a specific class on sampling, and that's, been really good. So hopefully I can bring something out of this that you don't know. And if you do, and you know better, that's what the comment box is for. Just saying.
Just saying.
All right. So I should probably share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen. Let's see this.
So Simpler. So what I have, this is a using Simpler project that I was working on for school. I'm just going to kind of run off of this, but if you look at instruments, all right, so we've dropped the sample into Simpler, and this is just a device for sampling. You can do it with anything, vocals, whatever. All right, so we've dropped our sample, our little drum loop into Simpler, and you have these different modes. For now, I'm just going to go to slice mode. This is a much more involved thing that I could just explain to begin with. All right, you see these little blue markers? It automatically throws in a bunch of them for you. And you can change that by the sensitivity here, this little blue box. You can type in what you want, but the less sensitivity, the less markers are in there. That's just if you want to go off something really quick and simple and you don't want to spend time identifying the the breakpoints or whatever.
And that looks like it's doing it by loudness.
Well, this is by transient right now.
Yeah, okay. Oh, so right.
You could change this part too. You could slice it by the beat, and this is a lot more appropriate for like a percussion thing because it's obvious breaks,
Right.
And
yeah,
waveform
for
makes
time
it really
signature.
easy to see. Right, and you can also, when you have it under beat, when you have it under transient, it gives you the sensitivity. It gives you so many markers. But when you have it under beat, it gives you the note structure.
Right.
So you can have it on quarter triplets. You can have it on 16ths or whatever you like. It's going to give you I think it gives you a total of 64 markers regardless.
Right.
I think you could add more, but it's automatic because 64 pads on the push, 64 pads on a lot of MPCs or whatever controller you use. So for this percussion thing, it's easy to just do it in like quarter or even half notes because it's it's like kick, snare, and back to the kicks and snares. So I've even done it on bar. So it's like a whole section, and you can move these markers how you will and find where you want to do it. And there's also playback mode. So with playback mode, this determines how when you hit a song, trigger a sound, if it's going to be mono, poly, or through. Mono is, if you're playing, like an instrument or something, a single note instrument, like a bass line or whatever you're sampling, that works great. Poly is pretty good for percussion, but through is different. Through will play back, like if you press the trigger for this section here, for one of these sections, it'll play the whole thing no matter if you click another button. So like on top of each other, it'll play them. Instead of just pressing it and it'll play till it's over, and then if you press another one, that one will also play over the top of it till it's over. And obviously you have voices you can add to it, but this is just a drum loop. So I urge you to play with all this stuff. You can change the gain, you can add gate to it, and how you want to do it. Always complex or complex pro if you're using anything that is stretched out or warped for like the original sound to come through. But this is just a drum loop. I'm not really too entirely worried about it. You also have, that's just the sample side, but then there's the control side, and you can change the filter and drop out some of the frequencies. You can mess with oscillation and things like that. And this is, pretty straightforward if you understand envelopes or whatever. And if you don't, we're obviously going to do an envelope episode, but this is beyond the scope of how to use simpler basically. This is just for now. We're talking about slicing. So slicing by beat transient, you got your sensitivity. You can change it. Slicing by beat, slicing by region should be basically how many regions you have, and it just cuts it equally across. And then manual is where a lot of people want to go so they can fine tune where they want to put their slices. So it's pretty much what it is. That's in slice mode. So I've got this set to beat slicing right here, and division is half. All right, so it's really pretty straightforward. Now, if I want to change that, obviously I can just pull this back. Okay. So if you have trouble and you move one of these and you can't get to your marker, you can just right click and go to reset slices. But for now, you see that you can move these around until you find the right transient or the right drop off from the transient. Like that's a good one. If you zoom in really closely, you can see how if you want it to be perfect, you want to move it like right on it, and that's cool. And that is, what's that? This one. All right. So this is just a basic rundown of how to do it. You can shorten any little piece you want, but I urge you to play with this until you really understand it. But if you right click or double right click or whatever, you see that you have all these options: manage sample, show in browser and finder, normalize volumes. Really, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff unless you're just looking. Don't need to normalize right now, especially if you're going to be mixing and mastering later or adding effects. Just leave it alone. Crop sample is useful if you really just want to cut off the section, like if you have this here and you want to bring this here and you want to just keep that part and don't worry about the rest, you can crop the sample and do it like that, and it'll just pull it back out to the full length with what you have left. And then reverse sample is obvious. You can do this and it'll flip it around, which is not useful for today's lesson, but there's a lot of cool shit you can do with that with instruments or vocals, especially if you're doing like a lot of reverb intros into drops and stuff like that, which Adam loves. He taught me that. So here we got slice the drum rack, slice the new MIDI track. You can do whatever you want, but I say slice the drum rack, and here's why. Even if you slice a new MIDI track, it'll still put it in a drum rack. That made 10 slices. Right. All right, so this is how it's sliced. Now I'm going to show you what you can do with this. Is cool, but I'm going to show you with one I already made, so I don't have to, because it's already sliced perfectly. So let me just delete this. But it's the same idea. So here I did slice a new MIDI track, and it does this for you. It lays them out, right, in a step ladder fashion from 1 to however many slices you set it to. In that case, I had 32. I think it was on half or quarter. I think it was on half. All right, so at that point, once you have that sample in here, you're not really worried about this first one that you pulled it from, so you just turn it off. But this is basically another simpler or another MIDI track that puts everything in a drum rack. And this is the way I have it sliced in the drum rack. So you have, now they're not all going to be useful, right? But what's really cool, and I don't know if you know this, Adam, and this is not new to Ableton 11, but it is new to Alan. This fade in and fade out part of the thing, this is on one shot mode, by the way. So it was literally, I've set this up so it would, snap off singles, like, not like sections. But this fade in and fade out, a lot of times when you're chopping samples, you'll catch a little piece of audio you don't like, a little, like a little or something like that, a little sound you don't like at the beginning or end, or just some background noise that you don't want.
Bass sounds will have that clippy noise.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. That weird like pop thing. Yeah. So you could put a little fade in on it. Like say you always do this on slice 1 when you're gonna do it though. For some reason, that's why. That's what it needs. So I clicked on this. It had a little piece I didn't like at the beginning, but as you can see, that piece at the beginning isn't like dead air that I had to fade out. I cut it so that it was perfect right here, and then it ends a little bit before, and I put a tiny bit of a fade, just 1 millisecond, and then a fade out of 12.2 milliseconds. See the little fade out here? So that's just going in and out of the sound. It's smooth, right?
But the cool thing, bring the fade up and down so they can see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your fade out. Now you don't want to go too crazy because you're gonna have other notes, and if it fades out too sharp, then, and you can adjust each one individually, but to avoid doing that, right click on, make sure you're on slice 1 when you do this, right click on fade in, scroll up to copy value to siblings, and it gets the rest of the slices for your fade in, your fade out. If you have transposition and you want to change like the sound of it, you know, if you want to bring it up or down, you know, how whatever it is, this is really useful for vocal samples or chops. So you can do this and then right click and go, you know, send to all siblings or copy value to all siblings. Anything in here like that, you can do that. And that's cool shortcut. Now, and then you find one you don't like that's like too much of a fade in and fade out. You just click on it and change it independently of the rest. So I just have these samples in here. Now you notice that that snare has an effect on it. It's not, it didn't come pre-effect, pre-reverb, none of that. The cool thing about using Simpler and then cutting it into a new drum rack is every single one of these pieces, these slices, are their own Simpler. So you can affect them all independently of each other, or what we showed you with copying to all the value to all siblings. So see this kick that has nothing on it. Let's put something on. Let's go reverb, keep it real simple. Just drag your reverb onto slice 1 and then click slice 1 so you pop up right here. And now you see that you have reverb that you can affect in your slice. Oh, that sounds different than it did. Oh, that sounds like it's in a basement. Right. So obviously that's not the kick I'm going for, but you know, just for this, we can just show you. Let's put little things on it. The idea here is that you can take each one of the slices that you have. Like you see that I put delay on that. Each one of the slices that you have, and affect them all differently so that when you have a loop that you've made, it could sound like this. Now, the next thing is there's another way to do this. And I have you see here, I have this where I've sliced it into. So I had done this again. I sampled it and then I resampled it. Right, so I just brought out some of the slices that I liked, and if you look at how that is, I have folded this so I don't see all these notes and all the space. That's just after you're done, but all right, so I use that as a little loop. Right, that's as far as that goes. And then there's same thing, and this goes back to what I was saying about the way you have playback. There's mono, poly, and through. If you play through, it'll just keep playing it until you, if you change it to mono or poly or whatever, it'll play until the loop's done, or until you affect it by hitting another one. See how that says dun, dun, dun? However, when you play this, it doesn't play the whole loop all the way through, but if you click this particular slice, it does play. I have it on play. I have it on through, so it plays through. And I guess what I'm saying is, until it's affected by another slice, it'll keep playing. I said that backwards before, or I said it backwards this time, and you can just figure it out.
Do me a favor, real quick. Stop sharing and then reshare.
And that's pretty much what I got. I mean, there's always so much more you can do with Simpler. Like if you hit these control buttons at the bottom, and you know you want to play with the envelope or whatever, or add oscillation to the sound, or you know shorten slices, extend them, effects, whatever. It's endless. You can do anything you want to do. It's just a matter of getting comfortable with it. And hopefully this is helpful enough for you to like at least get started. Probably not as comprehensive as I should be, but I understand it, and I thought I could get it across pretty well. This is some of the basic stuff, though. So that's pretty much what I got for Simpler this time. I know I'll have another one for Simpler later, and we might dive back into it in a different method. So,
cool. All right. Well, that was the basics of the Simpler, and thank you, Alan, for showing us that. I think tried. That there's some. I think that there's some good stuff there for what we need. To get you kind of started on it. And we'll be diving more into Simpler and Sampler and all these little bits and pieces inside of Ableton so that you guys can understand them a little bit better. But having a first look on how to kind of sample with Simpler thank you for joining us. And as usual,
we're going to be here every Wednesday at 6 a.m., no matter what coast, assuming America anyway, because I don't know anything about anything
coast
outside of the
to
country.
Coast. Other countries have coasts.
Spain don't have Space Ghost coast to coast, though. Let's go. That I just aged myself immensely.
Oh, yeah.
The beer didn't already do it.
But yes, thank you again for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Share this out to as many people as you can if you enjoyed it. And if you want to, you can join our Patreon now. We've got that up. We've got a bunch of different tiers that cool stuff that we are planning out, and you help support the show, help bring more to it, help bring in editors and other things like that the show desperately needs eventually. But yes, if you want to do that, you can check out all the links are in the description for all of that. And as usual, thanks for joining us, and we'll keep asking those questions, what those
buttons do. Yeah. Peace.